Yo, what's going on, guys? And today we're talking about the Chicago Bulls, and it's something that we've all kind of knew was going to be a theme this season if things didn't turn around. And there's a lot of I think the biggest problem is roster construction ever since Lonzo Ball got hurt. But allegedly, we're hearing from Brian Windhorst of ESPN that the teams in the NBA are monitoring the Bulls, and I expect they probably will go January, February, as if they continue to go on this tread they're going to tear it down and do a fire sale, similar to the Orlando Magic. And it's ironic because they got Vooch during the Orlando Magic fire sale that happened about 3 seasons ago. Now, this is the report that we're hearing right now. The Chicago Bulls are off to a disappointing 3-6 start, and the Bulls have looked lifeless, sluggish, and I don't think Billy Donovan's a bad coach, and I honestly think he's just dealing with a bad hand. And I think after, culminating years, I think maybe he's exhausted. So I don't think he's fully the problem. I think front office is a problem. I'm not going to say Billy Donovan should be, scot-free. He has made his own fair share of mistakes and, I guess weird lineups and coaching decisions. But Brian Windhorst is saying that NBA teams are monitoring the Chicago Bulls, and the quote goes like this: "In talking to some people around the league, the scouts are jamming themselves into bowl games because they realize that at some point the Bulls may break this team up, and they're all gathering intelligence like what's going to happen with the Bulls," end quote, Windhorst said recently on NBA Today. Obviously, the most sought after best player is going to be DeMar DeRozan. However, he's entering the final year of a 3-year contract with Chicago, so more than likely you would want a verbal agreement from his agent, because that's not tampering, saying that he would re-sign with your team if he were to be traded. So that's probably the team that I think you guys should be monitoring is the 76ers. They are either going to trade for DeMar DeRozan or Zach LaVine, in my opinion. They're going to repackage Batum, Morris, and Covington because they're expiring contracts. And the picks to get either Zach LaVine's probably going to be cheaper than DeMar, even though DeMar's expiring because of Zach's contract. Even though Zach, with the combination of Tyrese Maxey and Tobias Harris and himself, Zach would be 3 good co-twos for Joel Embiid. Now, the other one is Nikola Vucevic, who's making 18.5 for the next 3 years. And I could see Vuce being traded. They're probably going to have to add a couple second round picks to move his contract. But a team like the Blazers, maybe the Spurs, maybe, do you think Charlotte maybe? Because they have Gordon, teams that are willing to absorb that contract and maybe either send a combination of expiring contracts. Because the Bulls are basically going to be looking for cap flexibility and draft capital if they do blow it up. And between LaVine's, who's owed $178 million over the next few seasons until 26 to 27, and supposedly the Bulls and DeMar DeRozan are not close on a extension, it's going to be very interesting to see where this team goes. Stay hydrated, ladies and gentlemen. Now, when I look at the rest of the interesting things about this team is, let's talk about the team stats. I want to hear your thoughts before we continue today's video. If you're still watching, that means you like this content. So hit that like and subscribe button. Your support does mean the world to me. Now, they are the 19th offensive rating and 22nd defensive rating with 109.9 offense rating and 115 defensive rating out of 100 possessions. And obviously, again, this is a team stat. So you got to take everything with a grain of salt. Don't ride or die by stats in terms of team stats, because they're just looking at the holistic view of the team from, a whole. And this is the interesting thing you should take about this team commits the least amount of turnovers. However, they're one of the worst rebounding teams. They're the 3rd worst passing team in the league. They're the 5th worst scoring, points per game team. And the crazy part is they attempt the 6th most field goals. And another thing is it's interesting because they're also not doing they're doing a good job of not fouling. There's certain things they're technically playing foul free and turnover free basketball, but they're also not attempting. They're one of the bottom 3-point attempt teams. They're one of the bottom field goal percentage and 3-point percentage teams, and they're not even getting to the free throw line at a decent clip. So it's a weird mess And I want to hear your guys' thoughts. What would you guys do with the Chicago Bulls at this point in their season, with NBA teams monitoring the Chicago Bulls situation? I don't know when, but it's only a matter of time. Blow it up. Go get yourself a centerpiece. We don't even know if Pat will, Kobe White. Like, there's just no direction in this franchise. You can't tell me that there's a quick retooling that's able to be done with how much parity that there is in the NBA nowadays to fix this team. And as someone who's a fan of the Washington Wizards, the Chicago Bulls, are heading towards that perpetual loop that the Wizards were in, which is mediocrity. And you don't want to be there. That's the big thing right here. So I want to hear your thoughts down below. That's the video. I feel like we kind of just talked about everything that is. There isn't really much more to discuss right there. Just that those are the three players most people. I mean, there are more guys that I think I'm not giving a good. I think I'm doing a disservice on the players, but who also could be trade targets. Okay, but obviously there's the big three. Okay, Lonzo Ball also could be traded. They could trade him to a team that has a bunch of cap space, attach a first round pick, heavily protected, or probably a pick swap, and get him off the books if they want to. They also have Kobe White, Pat Will, Caruso, DeSumo, Carter, even Drummond, Torrey Craig. I mean, their whole entire roster, except for Terry Taylor and Julian Phillips, are pieces that everybody's going to want. They're top to bottom. There's a lot of players that are here. It's just not working in Chicago, and they needed to capitalize on the players that they have, because a lot of contenders, a lot of teams probably view those players as very good role players for a team trying to make a championship run and trying to get into that upper echelon in the NBA, which is probably the Denver Nuggets right now. So that's my thoughts right there. It's a weird situation because, look, and we're going to go through the roster real quick if we want to talk about, hey, this is how they're probably going to get value. Like, you can probably get at least a first round pick for both, like unprotected, at least one unprotected first round pick for both LaVine and DeRozan. So that's like 2 picks there. You can definitely get maybe second round picks for Kobe White, Williams, Caruso, DeSumo, Carter. Like, those are definitely, or even maybe one of the two of those guys can get pick swaps. Like, definitely LaVine and DeMar DeRozan, at least one unprotected pick. Maybe, there's guys that you can get draft capital for. Now, Andre Drummond, Torrey Craig, you might be able to get like a young guy. When Aaron Nesmith was discarded by the Celtics, you could maybe get somebody along those lines that, okay, a contending team knows that they're going to have to, like a BJ Boston. Okay, you could probably find someone like that. But so there's ways to capitalize on this roster. And I want to hear your guys' thoughts down below. But that's basically it from me. I hope you guys did enjoy it. Like, comment, and subscribe. Let me hear those opinions on who you think's going to stay. And I could see this whole roster be completely different. I mean, they might clean house as well, front office, and just bring in a new GM and coach.